This is the second part of my video series where CPU mining expert and fellow YouTuber Rabid Mining gives us a full, complete introduction to CPU mining. In part 1, he talked about how profitable CPU mining is currently and told us all the hardware he recommends for building your own CPU mining rig. And in this video, he talks us through everything you need to know about the software side of CPU mining, like how to overclock, how you get paid, as well as his strategy that has made him over $400 per day at times. And please go check out Rabid's channel after this video if you want to learn even more. And now, let's get into how to set up CPU mining after a quick word from our sponsor. Wattum. If you want to get into proper Bitcoin mining, then Wattum has you covered. From the latest ASIC miners, mobile mining containers and power transformers, to complete hosting services and even full facility build-outs. Wattum is the largest distributor of Bitcoin mining equipment in the United States, with a team of over 100 mining experts ready to help you out. So check them out through wattum.io/seb or in the link in the video description. Awesome. So let's move on to software-wise. So you already mentioned HiveOS. Is that what you would kind of recommend, or can you go with Windows as well? What's the deal basically with your operating system?
Oh yeah, for sure. So you can use any of the operating systems out there. You can use, a lot of people love Windows. I just find, moving rigs around all the time. Like I'm upwards of 27 rigs now. I have a couple more on the way. I'll almost be at 30.
Oh, wow.
So going individually to each Windows system is going to take some time to quickly swap coins around. So, HiveOS makes that really easy. The HiveOS fees for CPUs is only 30 cents per rig per month, unlike GPUs, which is $3 per rig. And then, when it comes to Windows, obviously that's free. I do use Windows in my workstation for obvious reasons, gaming and stuff like that. But anything that's dedicated, I do recommend HiveOS.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's the thing too with GPU mining. You can fit upwards of 13 GPUs into one rig, so it's kind of okay to do Windows, because if something's an issue, you just you need a heck of a lot of GPUs before it's going to be an issue to go and reconfigure every rig, right? But with CPUs, it's just it's just one CPU per rig here. So building just 4 CPUs and you want to change what coin you're mining, that's a good hour of your time now.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah,
especially with the Ryzen, the 3 and the 5000 series, they actually require a GPU to even get into it to view anything, right? Because they don't have integrated graphics. The 7000 series does have integrated graphics now, but like we talked earlier, price to build is really expensive right now. So you're going to need a GPU in one of those. A lot of people use those little, can't remember what they're called, NGT 710s or something.
Yeah,
they're utilize that, but then you have a GPU sitting idle, which adds more power, and you start stacking rigs. That's just a whole bunch more wasted power. Little things add up quite a bit as you start building out farms and whatnot. So you can go into your BIOS, you can set it to ignore the VGA and everything. Once you get your settings in, you can pull the GPU, and now you can have it within HiveOS. And then if you want to go to Windows, you're gonna have to put that GPU back in just to change something around. Plus you're gonna have to automate Windows and everything on top of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so basically HiveOS, it's worth it for CPU mining.
Oh yeah, for sure. And at 30 cents, it's pocket change. Nothing.
Yeah.
It might be something to GPUs. That's what a GPU would be making on free power right now. But,
yeah.
With a CPU, this is nothing.
Yeah. Because that literally is at least what a CPU rig makes in a day. So then you have another 29 days of it actually making you money after you pay the HiveOS fee. So definitely worth it. Yeah. Okay. So what about overclocking? Because I know that is a little bit more involved when it comes to CPU mining than GPU mining, because you have to do your overclocking within the motherboard BIOS. Isn't that the case?
Well, if you're in Windows, you can use Ryzen Master. And usually when I first set up a new CPU or something, I do use Windows on my test bench, and then I just utilize Ryzen Master and I play with my clocks until I start to see, unstable reactions. And then once I get it stable, I pretty much know what it's running at. Then I move that into the BIOS, lock my settings in and move it to HiveOS. But once you get more performance, you're used to it, and you know what you're doing, you can simply just buy a new CPU, lock it in, throw it in HiveOS, and skip the whole Windows process.
Right. So with using that Ryzen Master, is that what it's called? Ryzen Master?
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you do like your undervolting and things like that in that software as well, or that's something you have to do in the BIOS?
No, you can do everything within Windows and Ryzen Master. It has all your clock settings you can set as well as your voltage settings.
Okay, so maybe, like you said, the best workflow is when you get a new CPU, bring it into Windows first, find all of your overclocking and undervolting settings, and then bring that into the BIOS. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and usually you base it on volts. I look at the base clocks. Example, 3900X is 3.7 base clock, I believe. So usually you can run the base clock of a CPU at 1 volt or less. So example, I take that into Ryzen Master in Windows, and I try to bring the voltage down to 0.97, 0.95, then it crashes. So I know I'm going to have to come up a little bit from that point. Once you bring it up a little bit, you run your miner for a couple days. And if you notice your miner is quitting on you, that means you're not quite at your stable settings yet. So obviously a couple hours goes by and your rig reboots, you need more voltage. But if it's running for a couple days and your miner quits, you need just a tiny bit more, like a fraction, like 0.005 of a voltage increase. And at that point, you might be at a nice, efficient, stable setting, and then let that run for another couple days. Then you know you're locked in there. Throw that into your BIOS as those settings, and then you will be stable within a HiveOS or something after that. But those are just little signs of telling you may need a low voltage is if your miner or something starts quitting on you.
So did you say that usually the best option is to just run your CPUs at their base clock frequency?
Yeah, because just like with GPUs and other things, but base clock in a CPU is your normal setting. Now, when you OC something, you're going into that. So the CPUs have a base clock and an overclock parameter when AMD releases them. So a 3900X is a 3.7, I think it is, of a base clock with 5 point whatever boost or 4 something, I can't remember. But once you run over that base clock limit, you're now running into boost clocks, which means more and more voltages is required. And when you're getting more voltages, you're using more power. You're also going to have hotter motherboards. That's where the more expensive motherboards and VRAM cooling and coolers and everything, just heat starts exploding at that point, and you're running less and less efficient. Even though you are seeing higher hash rates, it usually doesn't work out to be worth it.
Okay, so basically, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like CPU overclocking actually might be pretty easy then. Just run it at the base clock and set your voltage to about 1 volt per, like, at the base clock, yeah? Or
yeah, start at 1 volt and then slowly down volt it from there. That would be like you're underclocking at that point and undervolting.
Okay.
Because I find once you go over that, that's when you're overclocking. You run into less efficiencies for every bit you go up. Some people like to do that though, but I like to remain it at the base clock or lower, and others like to go even lower into that, and you can really drop the voltages way down for, you know, peak efficiencies there.
Okay, but usually that's not worth it if you're looking for efficiency.
Not really. Well, way down, you get way more efficient.
But yeah, I
like to run a nice, efficient middle ground, which is around your base clock numbers.
Okay, cool. Amazing. So speaking of this, how much power, I think we might have covered this a little bit already, but about how much power does a CPU mining rig use?
Again, it comes down to your motherboard, X570, X470, you know, maybe the cooler you're using, AIOs, stuff like that. But overall, I found through majority of my tests that you're only using on a 3900X, you know, running nice and efficient, an X470 motherboard, stock Wraith Prism cooler on a 3000 series, anywhere between, depending on the algorithm, 85 to maybe 109 watts peak. Now the 109 is running dual channel RAM, 2 sticks of RAM on something like XMR. And then your average for the lower end is a single stick of RAM, Ghost Rider. Sometimes it peaks on one of the main high-end algorithms there at about 110, but it only lasts like maybe 30 seconds to a minute. And then you're back down to that 85 to 90 watt range.
Cool. Yeah. So it's basically not that power hungry of a way of mining. I mean, compared to, you know, full-size ASICs pulling 3000 watts, and kind of still, if you got like an S19J Pro now, that's still making about the same as a CPU mining rig per day.
Oh yeah, that's crazy. They use those Bitcoin miners are insane when it comes to power draw.
Yeah.
But you got to keep in mind too, though, if you want to start overclocking these things, you can go from under 100 watts. But I've seen also mining XMR in a 3900X, you could be pulling over 250 watts if you're really trying to maximize that hash rate. So
Right.
you got to keep an eye how you're running this. But again,
Well,
to do that, cheap power and
yeah,
a more expensive rig build.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's for people with that might be for people with more sense than money, or no, more money than sense, obviously.
Or free power.
Or yeah, or free power. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good point. So, all right. So like, walk me through the actual process, because now we've got our rig built, we've got our OS installed, we've overclocked. What now? Like, how do we find coins? Is it a is the process just kind of like, no, you just set it to the coin you want and plug and play, you're good to go? Or is it more like I need to constantly be looking for new coins that pop up that are profitable for a month or so until the network gets flooded or the coin dies? Or sort of what's the actual day-to-day process of like a day in the life of a CPU miner, basically?
It's a little tricky right now. 𝗔𝗫 has actually been fairly steady in profitability, so I've been hanging out on it for a bit. But at the same time, even like previously before Ethereum was gone, we were moving around quite a bit. So that's kind of why we got used to, after the Ethereum merge, GPUs having to move around. Us as CPU miners, we're pretty much already used to it. So there is a lot of flopping around, but it's also a lot of research to know how algorithms work and coins work and potential, increases to, boost profitability. Example, so ever since Raptorium came out, a lot of coins have been forking that and trying to come forward. So when a coin first comes out, forked off Ghost Rider, and it's a Raptorium fork, then a block reward is higher. So we hit that spec mining phase of about 4,750 is the block reward, and up to about 5,000 blocks is before nodes release, and then 11 nodes have to be online at that point. So you have a couple weeks to a month of mining at a higher block reward time in the spec phase, and hopefully when people decide to, when the nodes open up, they'll start buying that coin to get in there. So this is a spec mining phase here. Should you try it or should you not try it? Jumping into a spec mining coin, it opens the floodgates for scammers as well. You got to be very careful with wallets having viruses in them, clicking on people's Discord links to get information about a coin, could have, key loggers and stuff like that. So it's really crazy out there right now. But when you see new coins forked like that, there is a chance for huge profits to be made once those nodes first open up. And I've had a few times where I mined for a couple weeks on a coin hoping to spec mine it, and then the coin went like, times 100 because people were buying in. I dumped a bunch of coins at that point and made, if I were to calculate my daily profits based on the past couple of weeks, it was over $200 a day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah.
So
okay.
At points.
Yeah. So basically you're sharing like the secret sauce of CPU mining right now.
But at the same time, like there's been some past coins which I did try as well and I failed on, because like 𝗖𝗣𝗨, a lot of people were talking about, they thought it'd be doing good things, but once the nodes opened up, it didn't hit that. So I was not much. I only went for like 4 or 5 days on it. I have some coins stacked up if anything ever happens, but it's looking like it didn't hit that node phase. So I lost in that spec mining sense, but more and more will come and more will go. So we never know. But when it comes to straight profitability, 𝗔𝗫's looking pretty good right now. I think Raptorium has huge potential. They just released their new thing here. I have their futures update. They got their asset creations going on. They're going to be doing more NFTs and creations of assets and everything from the future. So the devs are very active there. I do think Raptorium is a long-term play game. There's that one, and then we just have to keep an eye on various coins to see what they're doing.
So next up, I asked Rabid if it's all just mining these smaller coins to core wallets and maybe finding, more obscure exchanges where you can swap those coins for, more established coins like Bitcoin, or if there are services like we've seen in GPU mining with, for example, 𝗂𝗏miners, where you can mine all of these coins and get paid out in Bitcoin. So that is what's coming up. But first, a quick word from our sponsor.
Established in 2017, Octominer is an international mining hardware company. They manufacture and engineer the best mining equipment in the industry and supply rigs to some of the largest mining farms around the world. Their GPU mining rigs also integrate with the top crypto operating systems like HiveOS, MinerStat, and Simple Mining. All parts come with an international 1-year warranty. Exciting news! They will be adding ASIC miners for sale to their website soon and launching a new product built specifically for ASIC home miners. Please visit octominer.com or email support@octominer.com for questions.
So would you say that in CPU mining, you kind of have to be a bit more active, like, knowing the coins to mine and trying to be early on them, and then as what you had done, sell them once, the price kind of booms? Or is there the equivalent of like something where you can just point your CPU at something and it kind of pays you in Bitcoin? Now, I know in NiceHash, I believe they have some CPU mining, at least for XMR, I believe. But is there sort of anything maybe a little bit more sort of, I don't want to say serious, implying that NiceHash is like unserious, but you know what I mean? Like, is there something like with GPU mining? We have the 𝗂𝗏miners pool where you can mine, a whole bunch of different coins and they pay you in Bitcoin? Or is it more just like you need to mine these coins that are kind of, smaller market cap coins, and then figure out sort of like maybe not so well-known exchanges to try to exchange those coins on later? Or what's the what's sort of the balance there, if you will?
Yeah, so there are various platforms out there where you can do that profit switching type of thing, or getting paid out in different coins, like Raptor Hash for one. It has various algorithms within it, mostly the Ghostwriter ones, Raptorium and stuff, but it pays you out in only Raptorium. There's another platform called Monero Ocean, which benchmarks your CPUs, and then based on profit switching on what it determines to be the most profitable coin to mine at the time, it will then, pick that profit switch and then pay you out in only XMR. And then there's another platform known as Zerg Pool, which you can actually select algorithms if you want to mine the whole algorithm and every coin in it. Like we've seen, there's what, 6 to 8 coins now within Ghostwriter. It'll just pick the best coin to mine based on profit, mine everything in that algorithm, and then pay you out in whatever coin you want. In this case, you can get paid out in Bitcoin if you want.
Okay, so that's a little bit almost like NiceHash would be with GPUs then. Like, granted, you need to specify before which algorithm you want to do yourself, but then it kind of like does sort of the auto switching to whatever it thinks is the most profitable, and then pays you in stuff like Bitcoin. Yeah,
but the only thing with NiceHash is NiceHash doesn't profit switch. It actually points you to whoever pays a premium in Bitcoin to whoever wants the most hash. So.
Fair. It's one of those, like, technically it isn't what you think it is, which can actually be problematic sometimes, to be fair.
And there's too many fooled by that whole mechanism that they have marketed there.
Okay, so this is like true sort of like auto switching then.
Pretty much, it determines the difficulty, the hash rate on the coins, and the price and everything, and then it tries to point you to what's actually a more profitable coin.
Amazing. So I basically just have one more question for you, and we've already gotten into this quite a bit here during the call, but like, I would just love to hear more about what, because you've been CPU mining for how long? A good while, right?
2, 3, maybe 4 years. I don't know. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, you're a real OG when it comes to CPU mining for sure. So I'm just curious more about like, what has your sort of long-term experience been in CPU mining? Like what does it look like now compared to, you know, a few years ago, and what has changed, and sort of what do you see for CPU mining in the future as well?
I am starting to notice that a lot more coins are actually slowly moving back towards using CPU algorithms, which is interesting. And a lot of the privacy coins are set on CPUs, unlike with GPUs. So that's another interesting point too. And I think there is a huge move forward with everything that's going on everywhere in the world on a move towards privacy. So we could see, you know, maybe some huge gains coming in across Duro, Monero, stuff like that. And, you know, that might make CPU mining that much more profitable in the future.
Cool. So what's different now compared to maybe like 3 years ago, if anything?
There weren't really that many options for CPUs. There were a few, but not too much. Mostly it was always about XMR for the most part. CPUs never really started taking off for people hearing about it until Raptorium came around. But yeah, I remember 3-4 years ago, a single 3900X. It was around when the 3900X first released. I was mining like 0.1 XMR a day on a single thing. And now like you need 10 rigs to get like 0.001. It's crazy. The hash rate and everything that's now on XMR compared to what it used to be.
Yeah. So would you say that CPU mining have pretty much consistently been profitable throughout this whole time, or has there been sort of droughts where it's not profitable, then profitability comes back, or what has that been like?
There are some droughts, especially when everyone finds out a coin or something is profitable, you know, everyone moves to it. But then, you know, that also opens up opportunities, because then people seem to forget what they moved off of or what they used to mine. You can kind of come in from behind and pick up the, you know, I guess you can call it the scraps. And then that what makes that coin that much more profitable again, because everyone just left it.
I actually have a bit of a theory, which is that CPU mining has this, it's a little bit more of a steep sort of threshold to get into, and also to scale. With GPU mining, you can kind of just buy a rig, and then you can, you know, slot 13 GPUs in there and sort of grow pretty quickly. Whilst with CPU, you need to build like a whole new rig every time you want to, you know, up your hash rate, which I think is kind of this almost like built-in slow mode when it comes to like massive hash rate expansion and things like that.
Well, it depends on the perspective. You're looking at scalability as in space needed. Like I said, I have those stands that really made everything a lot more compact together, so it takes up less space instead of laying everything flat. Also, you may be looking at prices. So like when 3 and 5000 series came out, you know, it was around $1,000 or something even higher to build a complete rig to get everything. Lately, you've been able to slap together a rig to $400 to $500 Canadian. That's cheaper than a lot of GPUs out there. So I've been ordering by like 5, 6, 7 complete systems at a time, slapping them together, and it's getting a lot faster to actually expand that process now.
Yeah, but also not everyone is you, Rabid. You know, you're a real pro at CPU mining. I'm thinking like the everyday person. It's kind of easier to just chuck another GPU in an already existing rig than it is to build a whole new CPU rig. Maybe that's just a theory. That's just my theory to kind of why CPU mining, it to me feels more steady than GPU mining. It feels like GPU mining, there can be these massive booms in hash rate. I mean, we kind of saw that 2021 with Ethereum, right? When the price skyrocketed, like such a massive amount of hash rate came online in such a short time. Really, I feel like that would take longer for a CPU mining coin, but also I might be totally wrong. You're obviously the expert and I'm the noob here, so.
Well, it depends. Like I said, if profitability picks up and if a coin has a decent volume, which means able to sell and get rid of your coins fast if you need. Remember, large farms, they like volume. They need to be able to, get rid of their coins quick if they need to. And if a coin starts getting all these things they need, data centers can go online very fast. I've seen this happen in various coins in the past, and the hash rate can pick up very, very fast as long as there is volume there to get rid of those coins, because that's what they do need. They don't just spec mine a coin, because if they can't sell mass amounts of coins, then it's not really worth it to them.
Got it. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. Awesome. Well, Rabid Mining, thank you so much for talking to me and introducing me into the amazing world of CPU mining. For everyone who's watching, please go check out his channel. This has been sort of like a surface level. If you want to actually get into CPU mining, then Rabid's channel is incredible. He has all of the answers you will ever need. Please go subscribe to him, check out his videos. That's about it. Anything else you want to leave them with, Rabid, or are you good?
I think that's everything for now.
Yeah, amazing, cool. But that's it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please give it one of these. And if you really liked it, you can now join the channel to help support what I do here. It really does make a big difference, and it means a lot to me, so thank you. And as a bonus, if you do decide to join, you get access to our private Discord chat room, and I love talking with you guys in there. But what you gotta do now is you gotta click on one of those videos on the screen, because this video is over. You can also click the picture on my face to subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate that. And don't forget to subscribe to Rabid's channel as well. But yeah, now go click on one of those videos, and I'll see you there. Goodbye. Goodbye, bye, bye.